canals, say up till now, I'll come to that, we have not followed the geology and geomorphology. We have drawn lines that this should be the linking of the river. No, that is not needed. If we do on scientific basin, very small linkages of the basins will serve the purpose. Once we are committed that we will provide water to every agricultural field, we will provide energy, we will provide domestic water, then we have to get the water. We can't get from anywhere else except following the science. Next one. Earlier, we could not do much because good data was not available. Survey of India topographical sheets were available, but now we have got radar images. So advancement, this shows is even the smaller drainage pattern, how we can use this data scientifically is very, very crucial, and it has been used in our studies. So these are the Sahyadri mountain ranges. You don't have to go in the forest area to find the contours. All the contours can be drawn from this data. Next one, please. Yeah. Now, in upper part of Sahyadri mountain ranges, say lifting of water is not required. Near Nasik, you have got these ridges only. You can store the water at very high elevation in these valleys, and there are huge valleys, which I'll show you a little later, in the Sahyadri mountain ranges where a lot of water gets accumulated. So a little bit of tunneling on this side between this can bring the water from this side to this side. So it is not going to be a very huge task. If you follow the geology, geomorphology, you can transfer the water with lot of ease. So this is the data generated, so that now for Bombay, you can believe it is somewhere here. Now they are trying to bring, they are bringing the water from top of Sahyadri to this. No, you can store the water in these bowl-like structures north of Bombay to supply the water, because Bombay needs water. It's the economic capital and it is growing. So we have to make projection. What will happen after 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, and plan accordingly where we should have the water source and then how we should get the water in coming years. Next one, please. Yeah, this is what the planning of the Bombay is, that this is the Sahyadri escarpment. This is the water body, Upper Vaitarna, huge rainfall. So you have a lot of water here. What we suggested that one more dam can be made, and just a simple tunnel here, about 7 kilometers, will bring all this water to the Godavari catchment. This is all Godavari catchment. For Bombay, you know, there is a lot of rainfall. So we have selected this Wagh River catchment. There is no forest in that. It's only bushy wasteland. So this wasteland can be utilized. Say presently we are getting water to Bombay from these things, but we can connect the whole thing and bring the water for Bombay. So this is a wonderful thing which we will, I'm going to highlight in next slide. Next one, please. Yeah, next one. Yeah, in Bombay, it is not possible you can lift the water, so you have to rely on this water which is stored on top of the mountains. In rainy season, there is a lot of water available. Next one, please. Yeah, you can see on western side, this is the mighty flow of water, and that goes to the ocean. So for western side, we have got shortage of water. In Konkan area, there is it is like Cherrapunji. You have the highest rainfall, but no water available on monsoon, after the monsoon. So same thing is here. So we have to store also for not bringing it to the east, but for the utilization on the western side also. Next one, please. This is what we have decided, that this is the catchment area of the Wagh River, a very suitable construction of dam, which will have this much of submergence area. According to height, you can decide that, and this is the area, and you can hold the water for Bombay for And if with present need and future needs, Bombay will require 50 years problem you can solve if you attempt a project like this. Next one, please. Another discovery in Deccan basalt has been the distribution of lineaments. A geologist will always talk about lineaments, and lineaments are very simple to understand for the engineers. They are huge cracks on the surface of the earth, and they are the path of least resistance. And here in this satellite image, you can see that there are straight lines which are cutting across the country. And river, you see this river coming from here, joins this lineament and flows along it. Another one comes like this, joins this lineament. Another one comes like this and joins the lineament. So these are the path of least resistance. So when the water goes inside the lineament zone, it is available. There is a vegetation, there is a soil cover. So what our experiences say, that if we drill along a lineament, the success of the bore well is assured. Good quantity of water can be availed at shallower depth, and the wells, they don't dry in the summer season. So lineaments have played very important role, and in fact the supply, these ISRO supply of the images, preparation of hydrogeomorphological maps for the supply of entire nation was highly dependent on mapping of these lineaments. So lineaments are very, very important. Next one, please. Yeah, these are the valleys. I told you on top of the Sahyadri mountain ranges, these are the disposition of major faults, and water that flows, percolates there, falls on top of the Sahyadri, gets accumulated in these valleys. So these are the valleys which are the storehouse of water. So we don't have to take the water from west to east, but valleys which are on top of the Sahyadri, that can also provide the water towards the east, because we need water in the east. Next one, please. Now, one more discovery which is of great importance as far as the management of water resources is concerned in the entire Deccan volcanic provinces, the finding of lava channels and lava tubes. Say, you know, when the lava comes out, it cools and solidifies. It doesn't go to long distances. It moves through the channels like water moves. And these channels where the lava has moved have got hardened, because hot lava has baked the country, and the levee portions, the borders of those channels are hardened, very hardened, impervious. For groundwater people, these are impervious regions. Next one. Yeah, these are the lava remnants of the lava channels, because volcanism has taken place 65 million years ago. But these remnants are still there. They stand out like ridges. And they are not only the topographical ridges, they continue below, and they control the movement of groundwater, accumulation of groundwater. So this is very, very important if you want to manage the water. And they are not in one level, they are multi-tier, because volcano lava tubes, they transported the lava, another set of volcano at higher elevation, another set of volcanoes. So they are multi-tier. So wherever you want to manage at any level, they are there, which are very important. Next one. This is a perfect tube. So lava has flown through these tubes to long distances. The central core portions of the tube are made up of very friable rock. So what we were investigating, that if this matter can be excavated, and this tube, which has got natural gradient and well-made tube by the God himself, can be utilized for transportation of water instead of tunnel. So how best we can use it, that is what we are doing presently. Next one, please. Yeah, my engineer friends, because they are not involved, or they are not knowing about the intricacies of the lava system, so they have made a canal, a very good aqueduct to carry the water from long distances. But you can see here, there is a lava tube. On this side, there is so much of water because it is acting like a barrier. On this side, there is no water. So I told, sir, if you would have made this entire system on this side, you could have taken this water to wherever you want. They said, we were not knowing about this fact. So data is very important. One should generate the data, do the research, because research is also important. 10, 15 years ago, we didn't know anything about lava channels and presence of lava channels. Mapping these channels and tubes has taken a lot of time, and that too we are trying to map in the entire profile of the Deccan volcanics. Next one, please. Yeah, you can see on one side the water table has gone up, and all the time the water is coming out on the other side, which is, so these are very important for management of water. Next one, please. Yeah, not only management of groundwater, but surface water, because they are the barriers. And very intelligent engineer has decided to put a dam where the lava channel has got a break and he has stored the water. Next one, please. Yeah, there is a scope for damming because they cut across major rivers. Say, for example, this lava channel course is cutting through the major rivers, and these are the areas which can be plugged for holding the water and recharging the areas. So smaller dams can be made for holding the water and recharging the area. Next one. Yeah, this is a boon for the volcanic country. This is known in Maharashtra as Pat Bandhare. On every stream, our Maharashtrian friends, what they have done is this type of dam they have made. So if the water goes up, it will flow down. Otherwise, there will be water available for percolation. Years ago, then after 3 billion years, this has happened. This engineer is not concerned with your billion years, your geological clock. He's interested in geological data. He's not interested in age of the earth, mountain building, interior of the earth. These are the topics we should not confuse our engineer friends. We should provide them the geological maps, which have got a lot of geological information. Engineer doesn't require whether it has garnet in it, whether it has got a staurolite in it. He needs to get the information that, well, these are the schistose rocks, and he will be very fine with that. So simple geological maps, you should ask. The first requirement should be you provide the geological data, simple, readable geological maps. Next one, please. Yeah, I'll finish. Next one. Quickly we have to go. Yeah, land use, because we want to convert the single crop area into double crop area. So we have to get information which are our wastelands, where if by providing water, we can make them agricultural lands. So this is what, and single crop area can be converted to double crop area. So land use maps are very much needed. Hydrogeomorphological maps are needed. Yeah, next one, please. Yeah, and finally, this type of geological information you need, that if you construct a small dam, to which area you are going to feed, what should be the height of the dam, what is the catchment of the area. Next one, please. Yeah, geology again, because I'm a geologist, 35 years I worked in Geological Survey of India. I can't be separated from geology. And here you can see the Karnataka area. It's a huge geological informal structure is there. It folds like this. On Goa, the mighty rivers Zuari, Mandovi, they are starting from western side and they are flowing towards. So this is a very, very important geological thing if you want to manage anything. And this trend continues in Karnataka. So anything which has been planned or contemplated to be planned should use the geology. Next one, please. Next one. Yeah, this is finally we made a geological information map that if you want to develop this area, this is the topography, you can bring the water from the Narmada side, you can bring the water only in Nasik area from this side to this side. You take a canal, 300-meter difference is there. So this is a automatically flowing canal like this. So from this, say Nasik area also receives sometimes very heavy rainfall. So all that water you can distribute in all the rivers which are emanating from the Eastern Ghat towards the east. They have dams which generally they don't get filled. So you can drop that water into this, and excess water you drop into the Krishna River. So, and you can generate the power wherever it comes out of a tunnel, you can generate the power. So this is a free flowing water system, and it will be converting the entire area, generating lot of electricity, and then you will be able to fill all your reservoirs which remain empty. And next one, please. See, I told you that in smaller sectors we have to manage. Unfortunately, the task force which was created will take the water from Tista right up to the Kaveri, or from Uttarakhand right up to Gujarat. This is not feasible. I am not geologically, geomorphologically, it is not feasible, because you are bringing Tista water, but you have got Mahanadi, good water, Mahanadi, lot of good water is available here. Then Godavari, near this Rajamandri, you have got a mighty Godavari river with lot of fresh water. So why you should bring from Tista? This is not needed. This sector, I already told you, is smaller management of in sectors linking the small. Say, I was involved with many water resources projects. See, my first assignment was to be a consultant with the Dharoi and Kadana river projects in Gujarat on Mahi and Sabarmati rivers. Then I worked in Banasagar project, a dam, mighty dam on the Son river, which has made the floods to a large extent in Bihar, and Dharoi, they never created any problem. They are there for more than 50 years now. You will not have heard any adverse effects of that. It's because lot of scientific input. In Banasagar project, the major input which I could make, humble contribution I will say, is this, that I said no canal should be made. You use the existing channel. So I propagate no canal business, only use the natural existing channels for transportation of water. This is the most important crux of the entire thing. No lifting of water. Next, I'm just finishing. Yeah, say this is, we have discussed with Dr. Ling Raju. This is Chakra Tirth Naimisharanya in Uttar Pradesh, close to Lucknow, about 50 kilometers. This is, please don't, yeah. You can see here, this is a pilgrimage center. Even now people go there, but it is existing from Vedic times. This ashram of Manu and Mata Satrupa are there. Here Vyas Rishi was there, and his disciple Sudji, he has written 16 Purans here. So at any time in Naimisharan, some 388,000 rishis, they lived there, they wrote there, and Vishnu Bhagavan used to visit here, Narad Rishi used to visit here, Dadhich Ashram. Love and Kush, the two sons of Ramchandraji, were born very close to the Valmiki ashram near Naimisharan. It is, well, it is having this much of history, religious history, but geologically it is a unique place. Unique in the sense that it is an artesian condition. A bowl-like thing is there where you have got impervious clay. So water was percolating down and it was coming like an artesian condition. That is how it is known as Chakratirth. When I was 7 years old, I visited for the first time, and water used to gush out from here and then join the Gomti river. That was the flow at that time. But in 60 onward, the tube wells came, everybody started pumping the water table has gone down. Now the water is not gushing out, only stagnant water is there. And pilgrims, they keep on dumping a lot of the religious material, you see, mala, phool and all this. They are making it unthinkable. And if presently the government doesn't take any interest in it, it will die its natural death. So the proposal we are thinking of making is to revitalize the whole thing. First, have restriction on the pumping of the water from the vicinity of the Chakratirth and in Gomti basin. Second thing, what we anticipate, we have done work, next one please. Yeah, this is the Chakratirth in the center, and this is the habitation around it. Next one please. Yeah, you can see this is there are, in fact, if you think the entire Indo-Gangetic plain, there are bowl-like structures, there are rising hills, and that is how the land use is concerned. So these bowl-like structures are to be recharged. Next one, please. Okay, so this is what is our attempt is that we should make a geological, geomorphological, geohydrological map and make suggestions where the water should be recharged to make the water table come up and the Chakratirth start, you see, to its former glory. So that is rejuvenation. Next one. Yeah, can we go one step earlier one? Yeah. Himalayan springs, say in Uttarakhand and in Himachal Pradesh, we have got small springs and local population is highly dependent on them. These springs were more in number earlier. They dried up because of deforestation, that is the main thing. Then water has been pumped out. They have not been taken care of it. People have broken the bowl-like structures, so water to get more water. Now there is no water available. But this type of springs, all the time water was flowing. So last recommendation which Uttarakhand government has followed, that the water was percolating down the stream and going to the waste. What we recommended, that you make a tank at least, so that the water goes into the tank and you can collect whenever. Now it is supplying water to the nearby area by tankers. So there is a sroth in that area. If you go into the geology of it, you can see that the dips are like this. It's a huge conglomerate bed. Whatever water percolates down, seeps out at different places. Next one. Yeah, you can see a lot of water is available. We have to make use of it. Next one. Yeah, this is in fact earlier one. You can say this is the rising area and these are the hills around the Chakratirth which can be rejuvenated. Next one. Yeah, these are the sandy hills which can be used for for artificial recharge around the Chakratirth. Next one. Next one. Uh, I think I'll end here. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Mishra. We can take one or two questions at the most, and then we can move on to the next presentation. Any questions? Okay.
Specific basin, have you mapped the lava basin channels which can be used? You know, we wanted to see some possible application of this.
Yes, in fact, I'll tell you a little event. Say in Nasik area, we were mapping and local people, they knew that we are there. So what happened, they were digging a trench or laying their lines. And what happened, suddenly the water started gushing. And first thing they thought that they have broken a pipeline because it was fresh water. And when it started gushing, they thought, okay, it will end in 1 or 2 days. When it didn't end in 2 months, then they approached us. They said, what is the problem here? Fresh water is coming out. We can't dig the trench. So we went there and we said, yes, you are on other side of the lava tube. A remnant of lava tube is there. And the water will keep on gushing because any water which comes from the nearby area just comes here only. So this has been used off and on, and farmers are very intelligent. Before we tell them, they start talking among themselves that there is something here which is acting like a barrier. But here we see it and then we don't see it underground. So we have constantly been advising the farmers and they have utilized it very well. Lineaments have been utilized to the maximum. Whenever the farmers they came to know that we are in that area and we have got that they call Upagrah Chitra. We have those things. They come and they say where we should find the water. And we have been telling that, well, the lineaments are like this and suggested if there is a very, very difficult area, where are the intersections of the two lineaments? Because water coming through, most of the lineaments are occupied by a river or a stream and the water gets accumulated there. So intersections of the lineaments are more important. So we have been advising and our maps have been utilized. Especially Maharashtra is quite a advanced state where engineers are very, very intelligent and when they suggest a borewell, they say, okay, find out the intersection first. So they have been using all this data and what has happened is awareness has come. Once the awareness comes, then people automatically start, anybody who is going to sink his money in drilling will like to consult so many people. And they have started coming to geological survey, okay, give me a lineament map of if we want to drill, where we should drill in his area. So that sort of awareness has come. Maximum awareness I have seen was in Gujarat because they suffer from water scarcity more, especially the Saurashtra and Kutch region. And in 13 years, I would have suggested a lot of wells and they have been successful. And yesterday we were talking about Guyben-Habsburg relationship, that seawater incursion, and that is a major problem there. So government sometimes takes wrong decisions. They give money to deepen the well. So if in a coastal area, you give money to deepen and you say that the second installment will be given when you deepen that many feet, they have spoiled their well because the saline water has come up. I told that government officials don't insist on deepening the well. If they widen the well, they can get more water than by deepening. Deepening will harm them. So many of these things have been locally accepted by the government also, because awareness should be there. People should be highly educated. Now, if not highly educated, at least they can understand these things. So in areas I succeeded in making them because I went with the regular data and data collected for that purpose. Say, any geological data will not help you. You have to have the data which has been collected for the particular purpose. Thematic data you need. I think I have answered your question.
Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you, Dr. Mishra. I think it has been a wonderful talk, and we wish we had more time to hear from you. I think a lot of insights, and particularly, I think scientific management is what is required. So let me now next invite Dr. Yeah, yeah, Dr. Anil. Yeah.
Respected Chairman and the senior scientists who are here, I am Dr. Anil Narayan Petkar from Art of Living. We have been working in many parts of our country, and in Maharashtra we have taken up many projects. Out of many projects, I'll be presenting one of the projects which has been implemented recently in the Latur district. We had selected one watershed which is a micro watershed of Manjara River Basin in Latur district. It is called as MR56 micro watershed, and then we have tried to have the integrated studies for the conservation of water in that particular area. We had selected that area because it was a dry land, because there was water scarcity in that area. So actually the implementation or preparation of the plan, we had carried out certain investigations, geological investigations, and then also we have taken up the community mobilization in that area, and we have tried to prepare a scientific approach for the development of the watershed. So next slide, please. So this is the area which is covering the 4 villages, and around, it is only around 26 square kilometers which we have taken into consideration. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So for the introduction, what we have tried to ensure the sustainable use of available groundwater resources by strengthening the local institutions over there. And then our objectives were to increase the groundwater levels in that particular area, and to promote the sustainable farming practices through knowledge disseminating and capacity building of the community at a large. So this part of community building and the other things will be taken up by our colleague, Mr. Gomareji, who will be telling you after my talk. Then, as far as the execution of the work was concerned, we have taken into consideration many geological aspects. Next slide, please. So, as far as the methodology was concerned, we have selected the satellite imageries, we have prepared the dam models, we have prepared the aspect maps, we have prepared the drainage, we have taken the drainage density, the lineament density, slope into consideration, then land use, land planning. As far as the field data is concerned, we have taken geology, geomorphology, then lithology on the surface and also subsurface lithology to a certain, then lineament density, potential of that, and then we have given analytical hierarchy for the process for the preparation of the action plan. So overall, we have taken into climatic data also, the rainfall, the runoff and other aspects. And then we have started, after the implementation of the project, we have studied the impact because we had already had the observation wells, we had recorded the water levels in the observation wells before the implementation of the project and also after the implementation of the projects. And then we have also tried to do the NDVI values, that is vegetation index after the implementation also. Next slide, please. So these are the maps which we have prepared, and then we have selected on the basis of hierarchy of the data available, giving all strength to all the data which was available. We have selected 16 spots where we can have border checks. We have taken 33 wells. And now here, one point we would like to just mention here, that we have not constructed new wells, but we have taken into consideration the wells, the farmer wells, which were existing with their permission, and then we have tried to channelize the excess water through the, after say filtration, to those wells which we use it as the farmer recharge wells. And similarly, as it has been known that it is a multiple aquifer system in the basaltic terrain. So we have multiple aquifers. As Dr. Mishra ji has already told you that there are multiple, say, lava generations or periods of lava generations, and it will produce different types of, say, formations, and in which we have a multi-storied aquifer also, that also we have mapped. And wherever the existing bore wells were there, which were penetrating the deeper aquifers, those were also to be recharged, and for that also we have utilized the common phenomena as the farmers' bore wells which have been used to recharge the deeper confined aquifers. So like that we have taken around 39 of them, and then there was a 9.6 kilometer stretch of the stream which was running and which was silted in that area. So in order to make the surface runoff, reduce this surface runoff, in order because the soil cover in the basaltic terrain, it acts as an impermeable bed once it is wet. So that soil has been removed and it has been used in it has been dumped into the farmlands to increase the yield of the farms also. And then this five types of structures we have made in that area, and we can see the results. I will just try to, next slide please. So you can see the observation wells data, the observation wells are there. You can see the results in the wells before the implementation and after the implementation. You can see the rise in the water levels. So like that, we have taken the observations in the observation well data. We analyzed it, and we could see that there was increase in water levels from 2.85 meters to around 3.5 meters. So this is the data for that. Next slide, please. So as far as normalized difference vegetation index is concerned, we have taken the data from May 19 and compared with the May 21. You can see that there is an increase in the vegetation cover. You can see that the water bodies have increased by 0.62%. The dry land or the unhealthy plants have been reduced by 27%. Then moderate plants have increased by 23.16%, healthy plants by 3.14%, and wet or very healthy plants by 0.09%. So these were small findings that we have done and after the implementation of the project. And apart from this, we have also tried to know the farming practices have increased. They have taken from 2 crops to 3 crops, and the yield of the farms have also been increased. So these are the findings, and this is one of the, say, small project which we have implemented. Like this, we are implementing many projects in Maharashtra and elsewhere in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Petkar, for the very concise and evidence-based presentation. Any questions? Yeah, yes.
Sir, very nice work, because you are presenting data also, and it is recent.
Yes.
I have a request. Because these years also were higher than normal rainfall years, have you tried to separate out the impact of high rainfall than usual on the improvement?
We have considered that aspect, and this is the recent data and high rainfall and all. Apart from that, we have seen that earlier there was no crop after, let us say, one rainy season. Now they have taken it because there were some heavy rain. So there is some effect of little more rain in that area. But apart from that, on this basis also, the water levels which have risen, not only for the unconfined aquifers or phreatic aquifers, but even the deeper aquifers, they have shown an increase in the water levels. Of course, we have to analyze deeper because it is a recent work only, and we have to try to analyze it further, and we will come out with a different model in forthcoming years.
Thank you, Dr. Petkar. Now I invite Mr. Mahadev Gomare.
सभी महाअनुभवों को मेरा प्रणाम। सब आप अपने अपने विषय में एक्सपर्ट्स हैं, लेकिन मैं तो किसान हूँ, मिट्टी से जुड़ा हूँ, मिट्टी ही मेरी माँ है। जब मैं स्टार्टिंग से खेती से जुड़ा था तो काफी सारी समस्या मैंने देखी है, अनुभव की है। काफी सारे प्रॉब्लम्स जो आज की तारीख में कृषि में है उसकी गणना भी हम नहीं कर सकते कि एक छोटा सा किसान जो गांव में अपनी खेती में काम करता है तो कितनी सारी समस्या से उसे उलझाना पड़ता है। क्योंकि जो अलग अलग योजनाएं तो बनती है, लेकिन इम्प्लीमेंट करते समय हमें क्या दिक्कत आती है ये हम सब जानते हैं। इसी के चलते हमने देखा कि हमारे गांवों में तो काफी सारे नेचुरल रिसोर्सेस हैं, लेकिन उस नेचुरल रिसोर्सेस का कुछ गलत तरीके से उपयोग होने से या नहीं होने से काफी सारी समस्या आज की तारीख में हमारे सामने थी। तो हमने देखा कि 2013 में हमने इसी के ऊपर कुछ करने का निर्णय ले लिया, जो हम लास्ट 15-20 साल से जानते थे कि कृषि में किस तरह से प्रॉब्लम्स हम फेस कर रहे हैं। तो 2013 में हमने कुछ छोटे से इंटरवेंशन करने का निर्णय ले लिया और उसी के चलते हमने महाराष्ट्र के कई डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में अलग अलग जगह पे अलग अलग कुछ प्रोग्राम्स हमने इम्प्लीमेंट किए। तो बेसिकली हमारा जो वर्क था, बेसिकली मेन कम्युनिटी ड्रिवन पूरा प्रोजेक्ट्स थे हमारे। उसमें लोगों को जोड़ के अलग अलग गांव में, गांव के महिला है, गांव के युवक है, गांव के किसान है, गांव की खेती है, गांव के पशु है, इन सबको साथ में जोड़ के कुछ प्रोग्राम्स हमने किए जो एक सस्टेनेबल एग्रीकल्चर का मॉडल बने, और जिससे हमारी मेन एम था हमारा इस था कि हमारा सॉइल कार्बन आज की तारीख में जो कम हो रहा है या नहीं के बराबर है, उस सॉइल कार्बन को कैसे इंक्रीज किया जाए। जब हमारे कृषि का, हमारे जमीन का सॉइल कार्बन बढ़ता है तो मैं समझता हूं कि सारी समस्या का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो सकता है। क्योंकि हमने सुना है, देखा है कि रिपोर्ट भी अब जैसे कुछ लोगों ने बनाए हैं कि जहां का सॉइल कार्बन कम होता है या नहीं होता है वहां अकाल निश्चित है, वहां का माइग्रेशन निश्चित है, वहां के लोगों को खाने की समस्या आने वाली है। और कई दुनिया के देशों में ये देखा है हमने कि जहां का सॉइल कार्बन चला गया है वहां से माइग्रेशन निश्चित हुआ है। तो इस विषय पर हमने काम किया, कुछ अलग अलग इंटरवेंशन हमने किए, जिससे पहला हमारा काम था कि इन सेतु वाटर कंजर्वेशन, कि जहां भी पानी की बूंद गिर रही है उस पानी की बूंद को उस धरती में, उस जमीन में समा देना है। उसके लिए हो सकता है कि अलग अलग जगह पे अलग अलग इंटरवेंशन हो सकती है, ये जरूरी नहीं कि एक तरीका कहीं जगह पे इंप्लीमेंट किया जाए। देश की अपनी इतनी सारी बायोडाइवर्सिटी अपने देश में है, इतने सारे सॉइल स्ट्रक्चर अपने देश में है, इतनी सारी हाइड्रोलॉजिकल अलग अलग रचनाएं अपने देश में है। तो मैं समझता हूं कि जिस प्रदेश के लिए, जिस विभाग के लिए जो इतना सुटेबल है उसके अनुसार अगर काम करेंगे हम, तो निश्चित रूप से धरती में पानी समाने की जो क्षमता है वो सब आप जानते हैं कि वो कितनी बड़ी है। जितने ऊपर हम डैम बनाए हैं उससे कहीं गुना डैम धरती के नीचे हैं। अगर वो डैम हमारे भर जाए तो निश्चित रूप से ये सारी समस्या का समाधान हम देख सकते हैं। तो इसी के चलते हमने अलग अलग प्रोग्राम हमने इम्प्लीमेंट किए, जैसे कि एक तो वाटर कंजर्वेशन का प्रोग्राम था, दूसरा हमने देखा कि सस्टेनेबिलिटी अगर हमें कृषि में चाहिए तो जरूरी है फॉरेस्ट्री। तो हमने किसानों के खेत में कुछ ऐसे मॉडल्स बनाए जिससे सॉइल कार्बन भी बढ़े, किसान की इनकम भी बढ़े, साथ ही साथ लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए पानी का कंजर्वेशन हो जाए। तो हमने करीब 2 लाख पौधे लगाए एक क्लस्टर में, किसानों के खेतों में, बंड पे भी लगाए और फार्म में भी लगाए। तो उससे हमें ये रिजल्ट्स मिले। उसके रिजल्ट्स केपीएमजी ने उसका डाटा पब्लिश किया है रिसेंटली। तो इससे ये रिजल्ट्स मिले हमें कि किसानों की इनकम तो बढ़ी, पानी का सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट इसमें हमने ये देखा कि पानी का जो उपयोग है आज के तारीख में देखा जाए तो जहां गन्ना उगाना नहीं चाहिए वहां पे हम गन्ना ले रहे हैं। क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न पे किसी का कंट्रोल नहीं रहा है, जो मन में आए वो क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न कोई भी कहां भी ले रहा है। जैसे कि आज गवर्नमेंट ने, मैंने सुना है कि पैडी ना लगाने के लिए गवर्नमेंट पंजाब में अनुदान दे रही है 7,000 रुपीज पर एकड़, पैडी ना लगाए। एक तरफ बात करते हैं हम फूड सिक्योरिटी की, पैडी होनी चाहिए, लोगों को खाना मिलना चाहिए, दूसरी तरफ सरकार कह रही कि पैडी मत लगाओ। ये क्यों हो रहा है? इसी के चलते हमने जो इंटरवेंशन किए कि इस तरह का क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न होना चाहिए कि उसमें रेन वाटर जो है उसी से उस एरिया की जो एक बारिश का जो पैटर्न है उस अनुसार अगर क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न हम अगर लेते हैं तो निश्चित रूप से उस एरिया के लिए कभी भी वाटर का प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं आएगा, वहां पे ड्रॉट नहीं आएगा, वहां सस्टेनेबिलिटी रहेगी, साथ ही साथ लोगों को अच्छी तरह का एक इनकम मिल सकता है। इसी के चलते हमने देखा कि जो किसान रेगुलर क्रॉप में 1.5 करोड़ लीटर पानी पर एकड़ यूज करने के बाद भी 40 से 50 हजार कमा रहे थे, एग्रो फॉरेस्ट्री और ये क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न चेंज करने की वजह से वो किसान आज की तारीख में 1 से 1.5 लाख कमा रहे हैं, वो भी रेनफीड से। मान लो कि हमारे एरिया में कस्टर्ड एप्पल है, पेरू है, केसर मैंगो है, ऐसे कुछ अलग अलग टाइप के क्रॉप्स है जिसकी वजह से वो रेनफीड से आते हैं, पानी नहीं लगता है, लेकिन उसकी इनकम किसानों के यहाँ पे ज्यादा मिल रही है। हॉर्टिकल्चर वाला तो ये कुछ अलग अलग इंटर्न से कुछ ये है रिपोर्ट्स है और इसी पर काफी सारा गवर्नमेंट ने भी इसका स्टडी किया है। जैसे कि देख रहे हैं हम ये रिवर में हमने, ठीक है, हाँ इसी वाला, हाँ एक गैबियन स्ट्रक्चर है महाराष्ट्र में कई सारे नदियों में जहां पे गवर्नमेंट करोड़ रुपए के बैरेजेस बना रही है, लेकिन काफी जगह पे ये बनना संभव नहीं है फंड्स की वजह से और कुछ टेक्निकल चीजों की वजह से। यहाँ पे जो गैबियन स्ट्रक्चर है कोई बेस नहीं है, सीधा जमीन के ऊपर ये स्ट्रक्चर्स बनाते हैं, जमीन के ऊपर मेस हम डालते हैं, उसके ऊपर ये दोनों तरफ से जो लोकल स्टोन अवेलेबल है वो लोकल स्टोन वेल्स के है या कहीं पहाड़ से पत्थर से है, वो सब निकाल के वहां के जो दीवार बनाते हैं और दोनों के बीच में ब्लैक सॉइल है। तो इससे नेक्स्ट इसी से रिवर में 2-2, 3-3 किलोमीटर तक पानी रुकता है और जब नदी का सिल्ट हमने जो निकाला उसकी वजह से 20-20 गांवों को 3-3 किलोमीटर तक पानी पर्कुलेट होने में इसे मदद मिली है। यानी बहुत ही लो कॉस्ट ये टेक्निक है जिसके 5 से 6 लाख रुपए में ये कंस्ट्रक्शन होता है। करीब 150 फीट का ये बंधारा है, एक रिवर में 150 फीट का बंधारा इसी तरह से कंस्ट्रक्शन करके 2-2, 3-3 किलोमीटर पानी उस रिवर में, अगर छोटे छोटे रिवर्स है ना कि ये गोदावरी और कृष्णा जैसी रिवर है, हम तो रिवर की एक ही व्याख्या करते हैं, लेकिन तालुका से तालुका जाने वाली रिवर अलग है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट से डिस्ट्रिक्ट में जाने वाली रिवर अलग है, एक प्रदेश से दूसरे प्रदेश में जाने वाली नदियां अलग हैं। लेकिन गांव की नदियां अगर देखें हम तो गांव की नदियां की रचना बहुत अलग है। तो जो ट्रीटमेंट्स हम बड़ी रिवर में करने जा रहे हैं, गांव की नदियों की ट्रीटमेंट्स कुछ अलग है, गांव के ट्रीटमेंट्स के कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स अलग है, गांव की नदियों के प्रॉब्लम्स कुछ अलग हैं। तो जिस एरिया में जो प्रॉब्लम्स है उसका वो डिसल्टिंग। नेक्स्ट, हाँ उसकी पहले वाला, हाँ ये देखें, इसको हम नदी कहते हैं, रिवर कहते हैं। किसी एंगल से भी किसी को पता नहीं चलेगा कि नदी है, हम जब बोलेंगे तो पता चले कि रिवर है। ये क्यों हुआ है? हमने जो पहले 50 साल में कुछ जो गलतियां की है, हमने जितने भी मेड़ थे पूरे मेड़ हमने निकाल डाले, मेड़ पे जितने भी पेड़ हमारे पूर्वजों ने लगाते वो पूरे पेड़ हमने काट डाले। अब जब भी बारिश होती है, हम सब जानते हैं कि रेनफॉल का जो पैटर्न है, नंबर ऑफ रेनफॉल हमारे एरिया उतना ही है, फिलहाल 50 साल का डाटा निकाले तो 700 to 800 mm, लेकिन नंबर ऑफ रेनी डेज हमारे कम हो गए हैं। नंबर ऑफ रेनी डेज कम हुए इसका मतलब एक ही दिन में इतनी बारिश हो रही है वो मिट्टी को पूरा लेके जा रही है पिछुअल से। तो उस वजह से क्या हुआ है पीछे, इस वजह से देखा जाए कि पूरा रिवर का जो ये बेसिन है, पूरा ये पात्र रिवर का पूरा सिल्ट से भर चुका है, क्योंकि ये मिट्टी कहीं से रिवर की मिट्टी नहीं है, ये पूरे हमारे खेतों से आए वाली फर्टाइल सॉइल है। क्यों आई? क्योंकि हमने बांध तोड़ दिए, बारिश ज्यादा हो गई, पेड़ भी नहीं है रोकने के लिए, तो पूरी मिट्टी रिवर में आ गई। अगर रिवर में मिट्टी आ जाती है तो रिवर कैसी जीवित रहेगी, इसमें पानी कैसा रुक जाएगा, वहां की जो ये है सैंड है वहां कहाँ जाएगी? तो पूरी सैंड के ऊपर अगर मिट्टी का ऐसा लेयर आ जाता है तो रिवर बचती नहीं है, और यहाँ पे कुछ शब्द आ जाते हैं तो पूरी रिवर हमारी क्लोज हो गई। और दूसरा इससे होता है कि इसमें पानी जब आता है तो ये पूरा पानी 2-2, 3-3 किलोमीटर पूरे खेतों में किसानों के फैल जाता है और पूरे किसानों की फसल बर्बाद हो जाती है। ये बहुत छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं, कई किसी के स्टडी में नहीं आती, लेकिन हमने अनुभव किया है। जब 3 किलोमीटर रिवर का पानी किसानों के खेतों में फैल जाता है तो पूरी उसकी साल भर की कमाई पानी में चली जाती है। तो यह जरूरी है कि जहां के लिए जो करना संभव है वो हमें करना चाहिए। तो इस तरह से हमने वो पूरा सिल्ट निकाल दिया रिवर का, और वो सिल्ट फिर से किसानों के खेतों में चला गया। जो किसानों के जमीन बंजर थी, वहां पे कुछ भी नहीं आता था, ऐसे बैरन लैंड पे ये सिल्ट चला जाने से वो सॉइल पूरी सी जमीन फर्टाइल हो गई, और वो किसान अब वहां पे कुछ भी नहीं लेता था, वहां पे 2 क्रॉप ले रहा है। और ऐसी हजारों एकड़ जमीन, करोड़ों रुपए की जमीन फिर से नई हमने बनाई है। आपको पता है कि जमीन आज क्या वैल्यू है जमीन की, सब कुछ चीजें बन सकती है, लेकिन कोई 1 इंच भी जमीन नए से हम बना नहीं सकते। तो जो एग्जिस्टिंग हमारे पास जो लैंड पड़ी है उसको अगर फर्टाइल बनाएंगे तो निश्चित रूप से हमारे पास क्रॉप लैंड ज्यादा हो जाएगी। तो इस तरह से इस रिवर में जब पानी आ जाता है तो किसानों को 1 क्रॉप भी लेना मुश्किल होता था, तो ऐसे जगह पे किसान अब 2 से 3 क्रॉप ले रहे, क्योंकि एक्सेस पानी होता है तो किसानों को खेतों में पानी जाता है। जो पानी कम होता है तो पानी नहीं मिलता, लेकिन आज की तारीख में जो एक्सेस पानी होता है तो ये पूरे रिवर स्ट्रीम में पानी बचता है। उसके जो बंधारे हमने कंस्ट्रक्शन के उसमें पानी रोकने से किसान को 2nd क्रॉप को, 3rd क्रॉप को पानी मिल जाता है। इसी तरह से ये काम जो है अलग अलग लेवल के नेक्स्ट तो ऐसे भी छोटे छोटे गांव में आपने देखा होगा कि बड़ी बड़ी नदियां हो तो ये नहीं दिखता, लेकिन ये हमारे सारे नदियों में, अलग अलग गांवों की जितनी भी नदियां हैं, इस तरह से उस नदियों की आज स्थिति है। तो उस नदियों को हमने तो ये हमने क्यों करना पड़ा, इसका अगर हम देखेंगे तो जिस एरिया में 600-700 mm बारिश होती है, उस लातूर को 2016 में ट्रेन से पानी लाना पड़ा। ये बहुत दुख की बात है हमारे लिए, ये गर्व की बात नहीं है, ये हमारे लिए बहुत ही दुख की बात है हमारे लिए कि किसी शहर को अगर ट्रेन से पानी लाया जाए और 144 लगाया जाए तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि आने वाले समय में पानी की समस्या क्या है। भले कोई भी टेक्निक हम यूज करें, लेकिन उस जमीन में पानी जाना चाहिए, सबको पानी मिलना चाहिए, पानी के ऊपर सबका हक है। तो इसी विषय को चुनते हुए हमने ये सब जो एक्सपेरिमेंट जो किए हैं, मैं सब लोगों से अपील करना चाहता हूं कि ये 100 विलेजेस में ये जो प्रोग्राम हमारा चल रहा है, जो भी आपकी टेक्निकल टीम है उसका एनालिसिस आपको करना है। ऑलरेडी केपीएमजीएम ने काफी सारा इसके ऊपर स्टडी किया है, लेकिन मैं सब लोगों को अपील करता हूं कि आप आए यहाँ पे, देखें सब, और इसका सर्वे करें, आप इसका एनालिसिस करें। कुछ केवीके के साथ में मिलकर हमने इसका सॉइल का सैंपल्स लिए हैं, जहां पे हमने ये पौधे लगाए हैं एग्रो फॉरेस्ट्री के, जहां पे पॉइंट में 2.2 या 0.3% सॉइल कार्बन था। आज की तारीख में 1% से ज्यादा सॉइल कार्बन इस एरिया में बढ़ा है। लास्ट 3 साल में 1% सॉइल कार्बन इस एरिया में बढ़ा है। तो ये सब जो परिणाम हम कर रहे हैं, हम चाहते हैं कि आप सब लोग इसमें जुड़ जाए, इन्वॉल्व हो जाए, और आगे इसको बढ़ाने के लिए अगर सब लोग हमें मदद करते हैं तो निश्चित रूप से एक नया मॉडल सभी के सामने ये हो सकता है। वीडियो प्ले कीजिए। इसके साथ साथ हमने किसानों के यहाँ तो हमने पौधे लगाए, क्यों हम चाहते हैं कि सॉइल कार्बन अगर जमीन का बढ़ना है तो पौधों का ज्यादा निर्माण होना बहुत जरूरी है। वीडियो प्ले जहां पे भी नदी का हमने काम किया है, उस एरिया में, उस टेरिटरी में, उस बेसिन में जितने भी बैरन लैंड थी, उस बैरन लैंड के ऊपर हमने ऐसे पौधे लगाए हैं। ये 4 साल के पौधे हैं, तो ये 4 साल में ये सब हो सकता है। तो ऐसे हजारों एकड़ में ये सब काम उस एरिया में चालू है, जिससे हमें पता चला कि इस एरिया का तो सॉइल कार्बन बढ़ा है, लेकिन इससे जो पानी का जो वाटर टेबल है वो भी बढ़ा है, और रिवर में जो पानी जा रहा है वो बहुत क्लीन जा रहा है। तो इसी तरह से अलग अलग मॉडल्स के माध्यम से ये सब प्रोजेक्ट्स चालू है। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Mr. Gumare, for the excellent work as well as the excellent presentation. Any questions? Well, if there are no questions, we. Okay. 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 Now I invite Dr. Harish.
Soon after Harish presentation, we will break for tea.
Hari Om. Sorry, I don't have any PPT presentation because it was scheduled to be yesterday. Due to some emergency work, I couldn't come. I just brief about the topic, River Health Index. It was supposed to happen yesterday, third session. I take just 7 minutes, not more than that. What is river? That's the first question I would like to ask yourself. How you imagine a river? Just take 30 seconds to question yourself, what is river for you? As a profession, because we have come from different professions, each profession consider river in her or his professional view or dimension. For an engineer, river is for irrigation purpose, water supply purpose, other things. For a farmer, it is something different. For a fisheries department or a fisheries graduate, it is something different. For a botanist, for a geologist, it is something different. For an hydrologist, river, the same river seems to be different for each profession. That is one. Second, the same river, sometimes with a happy mood, it gives a pleasure to us. That is ecosystem services or whatever that non-tangible benefits. At the same time, for a child, the below 10 years, river looks something different. And for a young or youth, it looks something different. And for a senior citizen, the same river looks different. And if you observe river, the morning, the same river appears different, and afternoon different, and during the sunset, the same river appears to be different. And gender-wise, the same river for male and female appears different. Now, think about it. What is river? Then the same river, upper catchment appears to be different with the ecosystem, with the ecological benefits or socio-economic benefits. The same river, mid-reach appears to be different, and the downstream, complete downstream appears to be different. The same Kaveri river, which in Talkaveri or Bagamandla or Kushalnagar in the Kodagu district is different than Mysore, Mandya, Chamarajanagar district. And it is entirely different terrain in the Tamil Nadu state. The same river. The water is the same, origin from the same upper catchment, the same Talkaveri, but the river looks different. Now comes to the main topic, river health. Why we call river health? River health, the term is very new. For Indian context, largely, even including Central Pollution Control Board, CPCB, has categorized river into 5 categories, A, B, C, D, E, which is largely on a water quality. Very often, developing countries like even India, when it comes to river or river conservation, we largely focusing on only on water quality. We have neglected completely other aspects of river. I call it as a river as a mother. It's not emotionally mother. If you observe river, there is an ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem. If you observe that river bed, riparian vegetation, what we call, just imagine that there is a grass at the edge of riverbed, then there is a bushes, then shrubs, then lower canopy, then higher canopy. And just connected to that, the birds which are nesting, they have a nest, the different level. All the birds are not in the high canopy trees. There are multi-level, which is interlinked. So for a mother, if we lose elder son or a younger son or even a daughter, that hurts her like anything. For her, everything is all of them, all the children or all their kids are same. Likewise, I giving an example of river to a mother. No, it's a small baby, let her die. No, river will not take it. Ecology will not take it. Even a small bird, that matters a lot. Even a benthic, small insect, it matters a lot for a river. Small fish, be it zooplankton, be it phytoplankton, it matters. So now comes to river health index. So we have considered 5 major indicators, 5 major sectors. One is that physical health, that is the land use, land cover changes in the river basin and the river bank. Second is chemical health, that is water quality, what we call physicochemical as well as biological or microbial. Third one, hydrological health, that is water flow during monsoon as well as lean months. What is the natural flow and what is the alternation? Then ecological health, that is aquatic biota as well as riparian vegetation, all the macro as well as micro habitat. And fifth one is socio-economic or ecosystem services for the community. These are the 5 indicators. So based on that, we have developed is a standard formula we have calculated and we have estimated river health index, because suppose if you take Kaveri or even Tungabhadra, there are damages. Some parts there is a physical damage, some parts there are chemical damages, some parts there are ecological damages, some parts there is a hydrological damages, some parts there is a ecosystem services damages. So we need not to give that standard treatment for all the entire stretch. We need not to treat entire 530 kilometer river. So wherever the damage, let us focus on that. If there is a physical damage, focus on that. There is a chemical damage, focus on that. There is a ecological damage, focus on that. So just I'll give you an example about Tungabhadra. There is a damage in the downstream of Bhadra Dam, that is Bhadravati. It's a pollution, high level pollution, which is Central Pollution Control Board also mentioned that there's a high range of pollution for about 20 to 25 kilometers. Let us focus on that water quality itself. For example, downstream of Rajoli Banda, there is an ecological damage. That's because of that is a hotspot for birds migration. So let us focus on that. So with this, I think I have completed my 7 minutes. Thank you so much for the opportunity given by the organizers, and thank you, Chairman. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Harish. Any questions on Harish's presentation on his effort to develop index of river health?
Yes, sir. For Tungabhadra River. Yes, sir. Definitely, it is available on the Google itself. The paper is already published, that is one. And the model is ready. Anyone can use, it's a freely accessible. We have that, and I can share that. For any Indian river, they can, with available data, they can calculate. Thank you, sir.
Please, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Categorizing this.
Yes, sir. For Tungabhadra, we have done that.
Yes, sir.
Tungabhadra, we have done that. It's not like standard one. So as I mentioned that 5 category, where is the damage? For each 5, physical health, where is the damage? Chemical health, where is the damage? And ecological health, where is the damage? And hydrological health, where is the damage? And ecosystem services, where is the damage? Yes, sir. We have done that. It is
Based on
available.
your index only.
Exactly, sir. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we are running out of time. We will close the session. Before that, a quick summary. Thank you.
Gentlemen and ladies, I think this is an excellent session with almost a complete overview. Dr. Mishra gave the geological aspects, linking basins, and yesterday some of the pondering questions which were being raised. Even I had raised the point of linking from the west to the east, and I think he had a good point that we have to make use of the contour bunds and take the levels at things and link the basins. That was how he explained it very well, and he touched upon very briefly on the Himalayan springs, how to tap them. That was his Anshuman Mishra's, his son's paper that was also slated today in this session. He covered it. Then we had, of course, the excellent paper by Petkar, and it is really how I mean, the 2 papers were from Maharashtra, and in fact, Maharashtra is the leading state in India, if I am not wrong, because the Jal Biradari in Maharashtra works excellently. Both the Bodankar and Chug and all these people are part of the team, and I think they have, I mean, last time when I interacted, it was almost some 52nd week. Entire state, district, each district is being covered by what we are trying to talk today. And we had 2 lectures by Narayan Petkar and Mahadev Gomare. And I think it is a lesson to be learned that how do we really resiliently, very effectively manage and increase the resources of the farmer. And the final one was a cap on the feather, that it is really a point that what is the status of our healthy status of the river. It's in fact the river index. In fact, our waterman Rajendra Singh will say that is our rivers, that is the chemical point, is our rivers good enough for Achaman? Can we do Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha, taking the water and drink? If that is not pure, well, that is the status of the rivers. But then its index, physical, chemical, biological, ecological, and the other index. Unfortunately, he couldn't present it in his full time yesterday, but he did give an excellent capsule of that. And I think it's an excellent index, like treating the river like a mother. Mother doesn't want to lose even a very invalid, disabled child. And that is how even the foraminifera, who is in the river bed, is important. So gentlemen, with this, I would like to compliment all the speakers for their excellent presentation. And we adjourn for tea. Thank you.
Thanks for all the great presentations. Thank you, Dr. Mishra. Thank you, Dr. Petkar, Mr. Gomare, and Dr. Harish.
Well, thank you so much for a very interesting presentations by the authors and very good summary by Dr. Krishnamurthy sir. Gopal Naik sir, would you like to say a few things from the management angle? I mean, what needs?
Sorry. Some of the points Dr. Mishra has mentioned is very, very important in terms of data development as well as scientific management. I think that's something missing in our discourse and of course in policy making. And with the result, what happens is, even after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you attend the meetings and same issues are being discussed. So I think that's very important. And that should sort of sink in our policy making process. I think if we do that, then we can progress. Otherwise, right now, we don't know where we are actually going. So that's where, management of the systems, keeping data, and that should lead to, policy, increasingly better policies is something which is required. And the other presentations have been very good, and especially Mr. Gumare has been able to, of course, present their own work, and which has very relevance to the theme of our symposium today. And Dr. Harish, who talked about his effort in developing index. It's not very easy to develop index. It is, that's a lot of thinking has to go in, and also one has to sort of test and see whether it can be used or not. But I think it's a very important in terms of usage. So can we just compare villages in terms of their performance and so on? That would be very useful too. So I enjoyed the presentation. I'm sure everybody else also got inputs on what to think about next phase, and how we can actually improve our river systems and water management as such. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, I request Ravindra ji to give a token of memento to Gopal Naik, sir. Also to Krishnamurthy, sir. Now, these 2 days deliberations are very serious, concern of every one of us, because today we see where there was a time when we were able to drink water from any stream, from any tap, and that is not the case anywhere currently. We look for bottled water everywhere, and we don't even know that we are contributing furthermore to the pollution. The same plastic we are using, which is so disastrous. So everyone, as Harish ji was mentioning, the way the river appears to different people in different ways. So that's very, very important. So Dr. Lingaraju ji, who being a geohydrologist, has been working on river rejuvenation for such long time, and practically demonstrated the methodologies which he used, not in just one river and many more rivers, couple of rivers already. And that's how we have all assembled here today. So one of the most important thing that as a part of the symposium we need to do is collect our opinions, collect and come up with recommendations. And that's a reason we thought, we need to get each participants, authors, scientists, policymakers' views on riverine ecosystem. What is riverine ecosystem? That is a question which Sudhir Kumarji has been, posing to us. And this is, this is the most serious thing which we have to come out with. So here we have representations from various fields. The group looks small, but the intellectual minds who have, say, nothing less than 35 to 40 years of experience is a huge experience, and that needs to be captured and used for further planning. And that's a reason we will be shortly sharing a sheet with everyone, and then I would be very happy to have your recommendations so that we will incorporate. And as our chairman Dr. Sri Prasanna Prabhuji was mentioning, that we had one conference on similar theme in 2017, and thereafter the COVID years 2020, 21, we were not able to hold anything of this sort, but we did a lot of work. 2022 we were not having any conference, and to the early this very beginning of the year we have this conference, and a very opportune time, a very best time, in less than say about 60 days after COP 27, and currently the World Economic Forum's convention is going on in the Davos from 16 to 20, which also was not happening during COVID years. So therefore, I mean, it's a very right time to develop a roadmap for the future. It is for not just for satisfaction of our requirements, for the future generations. The kind of damage the last 40 years we have done to the environment is huge, and that needs to be corrected. So now concrete plans are required, and your suggestions will be very valuable. So I'll look forward for your suggestions, and I'm sure you all are enjoying your stay. We would like to have one photograph, maybe somewhere. Now I just discussed with the photographer, the light is very, it's very bright. So maybe little later we will have, and we will, do you have any discomfort, sir? Any, because our ashram is scattered, our dining hall is one place and our auditorium is another place, but this is a wonderful experience. You will have a physical exercise, and also this today we will have a meditation before we go for lunch also. So have a wonderful stay. You have anything to say? No, right. So now with that we will break for tea, and maybe we can among ourselves discuss for a few more things which we have missed out while presenting. And it's a great opportunity to meet Mishra ji, because Mishra ji's presentation opened our eyes. He has, especially Bombay, which is so important. It's a state, it's a city having highest population, lots of problems here, and very small place available for each person, and challenging area. And he has worked on the how water can be handled in Bombay. I think that's something which people need to understand seriously when they think of planning for that city, water requirements for that city. Sir, thank you very much. We will break for tea, and then we will assemble quickly so that others also get opportunity to present their papers. I also request Dr. Sheshgiri Rao to co-chair. Dr. Sheshgiri Rao. And I request Bhavita ji to be the rapporteur for this program. This session. Now I request Dr. P.G. Divakar sir to make presentation.
Good morning. This is one particular session where most of us will be speaking about technology and various aspects of technology, how it can be used for the topic of relevance, the resilience for the sustainable river systems. So my topic is again on technologies and what technologies can do towards sustainable development of the riverine system. Basically, I am from ISRO Department of Space and presently at National Institute of Advanced Studies, pursuing on how technologies can be used. So you will hear a lot of technologies from my side, and possibly I look at use of space, the drones, the IoTs, and various other tools of artificial intelligence and how they can be integrated for making an integrated system for pursuing on to or making a good plan for sustainable development, particularly of the riverine system. So can I have the first slide? There are a couple of points which I would like to highlight here, wherein, can stay on that slide please. We have wide varieties of remote sensing data available from space platforms today, which could be used for varieties of applications. You can name the kind of device that can be used, particularly from the space. It could be optical devices, it could be microwaves, it could be even laser devices, which we can use from space. So there is a lot of advantages of using space data, and it is pretty easily available for usage. Multispectral data, particularly the optical and infrared payloads, give some excellent data that can be used in multidimensional platforms. Especially when you look at the radar data, it's basically all-time, all-weather imaging capability with both ascending and descending passes. You will be able to get a lot of data from there. The backscattering coefficient and the surface roughness are the indicators that gives you an excellent information with respect to what is happening on the ground, particularly with respect to the soil. And of course, space data gives you excellent information on weather parameters, and some of these space platform information integrated together on GIS would be able to give you a very good decision-making platform. Today we are integrating the drones onto the platform, the geospatial platform, wherein we are able to integrate multifarious data. In addition to that, the Internet of Things, that means you can prepare or make a sensor web on the ground, which provides excellent data on various things that happen on the ground. It could be with respect to the river system, it could be with respect to the agricultural system, which depends on the river system, and various other things. So what I am trying to say is, the IoTs, the drones, the space data, the GNSS, basically the location-based information system from space, and also the mobile applications, all of them can be brought together onto a geospatial domain, and that could be used as a multi-stage platform for information generation and decision making. Next one. Next one, yeah. Or can I change myself? Possibly can go faster also. Okay, I wouldn't like to say much about this. This is basically the different kinds of platforms what we are looking at. ISRO has been able to develop different types of platforms. It could be multi-camera system in a single satellite. It could be side-looking radars. It could be stereo imaging capability and various other aspects which has been pretty well utilized by various users. Typical examples of the kind of satellite data that we can get and the kind of fusion techniques which one can use for generating the data of the kind what you need. It could be for urban, it could be for agriculture, it could be for snow, it could be for even riverine systems. And this kind of data helps us. It's not moving now because it's an animation mode. It helps us in understanding the terrain better and makes us understand the features better, including the hyperspectral data, what is being shown to you. This is helping us to give a variety that is required from space platform. For example, a 740-kilometer imaging capability from space from the advanced wide field sensor literally provides entire northeastern data in one shot, where you can see the entire river system of Ganga, Yamuna, the Brahmaputra, all of them up to the point where you literally see them getting into the sea. You can look at wide varieties of data and you can possibly zoom into specifics and get details on them. Using this kind of data, a lot of national database has been created on Bhuvan Geo portal. I'm sure many of you would have seen the portal which has been developed. So it allows us to look at the water as a particular theme or agriculture as a particular theme, and also various other activities related to land resources and even disaster management. But this kind of data, if it can be properly utilized, it will be meaningful for us to have proper decision making also. Obviously, when we look at a terrain from space, it is a complex analytical data what we get, but if you are able to integrate the space data with the ground data, you are able to bring down the information to the decision making level pretty easily. I'll skip that. This is how you can do multi-time data for monitoring the agricultural activities. And in addition to that, you will be able to see all the river systems, how they are performing at a particular given point of time at different resolutions. Today, the resolution is not a matter. You can go down to something like 30 centimeter imaging from space, which allows us to literally go down to village and sub-village level, cadastral level. So basically, remote sensing, if you are looking at it from the river point of view, if you are looking at it from the agriculture point of view, or if you are looking at it from an integrated developmental point of view, you can see multiple parameters from space. So space data allows you to really look at various aspects of what is happening on the ground and how the decisions can be taken. Primarily, I would like to spend a little bit of time on the rainfed agriculture system, where India depends quite heavily on that. Like 51% of the country's net zone area literally is into the rain-fed system. And when we are looking at the rain-fed system, there are many complex factors that affect them, like it could be climate, it could be the weather, it could be the socio-economic factor, and majority of these problems are completely conglomerated in the rain-fed system. Since the lot of uncertainties are there and it directly affects the livelihood of the people who live there, it is necessary that we do a focused development of such regions, particularly using watershed development activity. Typically, a watershed is always the one which flows down from the ridge towards the outlet. These are the typical examples what you see here. So it is necessary for us to use the space systems and the ground system from an integrated watershed development point of view, so that the river system automatically becomes part of a watershed. So what kind of efforts we possibly need to put in if we have to build a meaningful watershed development related activities? Obviously, watershed is a complex system because everything including human being and livestock becomes part of a watershed. But when you look at the geospatial data and modeling to be developed, you need to look at various aspects of that, like database preparation, data standardization. It gets you into raster and vector kind of data to be brought in. The decision support system will be looking at the digital surface models, which becomes very important. And ultimately, when you have all the layers of data available, it becomes a multi-criteria based geospatial model for decision making. Obviously, the focus will be on land, water and terrain in addition to the socio-economy, and the integration of all these things allows us to make a meaningful decision. The focus on digital elevation model also becomes important. So I have some examples of how DEMs can be used for watersheds as well as the typical development of the riverine systems. So, yeah, sure, I will. So when we are looking at the DEMs plus the various other aspects, we also look at how IoTs and drones can be used. I'll skip that because it's basically a hydrological cycle what we are looking at, and how we treat the data in the DEM also becomes important. Like you can use a simple computational system for making automatic drainage delineation. Automatic delineation looks for tools that does the flow tracking, and from the flow tracking it is possible for you to get the flow direction, and the coding of the flow direction can be made in such a way that you will get automatic drainage system. So an automatic drainage delineation system can be easily made when you have an accurate DEM in your hands, and this is a typical example of how you do that. So the pour point becomes important, and pour points are used and flow directions are calculated, and flow directions are used for getting the delineations, the watersheds and various other factors that determines your necessities like the slope, the aspect, the catchment boundaries, the subcatchments and things like that. Typical products that you can derive from a DEM are quite a few, like you can get the altitudes, the slopes, the stream network, the drainage basins and things like that. This becomes a primary data that is required for anybody to design a riverine system and plan to develop a riverine system, and there is a very clear mechanism by which you will be able to operate on this. So when you have this kind of a data with you, since I don't have much of a time, I'll stop with this slide only. When you have the entire topographic data converted into a system of the kind what I said, it is also necessary for us to integrate the soil and agroclimatic conditions data, the land use land cover information systems, and also the information that is required for private land and common land, because the kind of treatment what you do in a riverine system for a private land and common land will be much different from each other. So when you have these kind of data sets delineated and put into a GIS, it is not difficult for one to plan an integrated GIS or a geospatial development tool which can give you a meaningful decision support system. I would like to stop at this, but if there are questions, I can always take. Thank you.
Yeah, any questions if we can entertain? See, Dr. Diwakar has given a lot of what is available in the menu of remote sensing GIS. And earlier it was very, very costly thing to procure, but now day by day it has become available from open source, and it can be utilized. So the lecture has got a lot of relevance. Yes.
Yeah, good question. For the first question, up to 10-meter resolution digital elevation models are available. People can use that, but it depends on at what scale you would like to use it. For example, if you would like to use it at something like 25,000 scale, 1:25,000 scale, or even 50,000 scale, you will be able to use the 10 meter resolution DEM, which has a height accuracy of about 7 meters. This will be able to fetch a good data for you for processing. But if you are looking at much more closer, like something like 10 meter resolution, 1:10,000 scale and below, you can use the drones for a stereo model, and from the stereo model you can still generate a DEM which can come down to something like 30 centimeters and 40 centimeters, and you will be able to generate all the tools will remain the same, the softwares will remain the same, but the data, the way you get into the system will be different. It will not be satellite anymore, it can be possibly drones. That is one way of looking at it. And the second part is the hyperspectral. Hyperspectral data we do have from space, from ISRO, but except for the initial stages where we had this hyperspectral data made available, presently it is completely given off for strategic use. It may not be operationally available, but sample data one can get and try to acclimatize on how to use hyperspectral data. But very little hyperspectral data is available in the public domain for anybody to use, but certainly hyperion could be one solid example where hyperion data can be used. And the platform which possibly you need to use could be something like NV kind of software, but of course a lot of open source tools are also available for processing the hyperspectral data. $30 meter DEM?
Yes, DEM or resolution with 30 centimeter.
The 30 centimeter, okay. So that varies from the person to person who flies your stereo drone for you. So it is mostly in the private domain. One need to see it. I will not be able to tell a number there because it varies from.
So what is available to us, like in Bhuvan, what is the cost?
From Bhuvan, you can download a DEM of 30 meter resolution. At a cost, you will be able to even buy a 10 meter resolution DEM.
What is the cost? Sorry.
Cost is available on the web. You can get it straight on the web. Yeah.
Okay.
If there are no questions, I thank Dr. Divakar for such a nice presentation, and all the participants are encouraged to contact him to find what will be the best way to go for using the remote sensing GIS software, data, and how to get it in budget. So thank you, Dr. Divakar, a lot.
Can we invite Dr. Kumar R. Rao to make his presentation?
Good afternoon, all of you. Our presentation is on conservation of your soil as well as water as resources, including study of spatial variation of groundwater quality, so that it can be assessed in a holistic manner for geoenvironmental condition and to be conjuncted with the built-up aspect, which should be using low energy material to maintain the geoenvironmental condition of the area in which we are carrying out the study. So in this context, the sustainable planning and construction in the semi-arid tropics, especially the Maharashtra and all those areas, are expected to harvest light, air, water through various construction design methodology that we follow, as well as we should be in a position to use passive energy mechanisms through use of cross ventilations and daylighting that can bring down the energy consumption in the region for ensuring geo-environmental conditions. Now, in the same manner, if we study the groundwater quality also, the variation, that is the spatial variation which we have in the groundwater quality, has a bearing on your sustainable construction, as it tends to economize the labor and material, machinery and overheads. The effect of variation in the water quality parameter, urban growth and land use changes has an implication on ecological health of the area. We have chosen a study area in this context, which is a part of Godavari Basin. The groundwater quality data is also collected from this area. 40 dug wells were there, so from which different groundwater quality parameters were collected, analyzed, and the data is shown. We have a lot of variations. Basically, the values of groundwater quality is more than the permissible level at most of the places due to various anthropogenic activities, as well as use of your fertilizers, etc. Next. Therefore, we need to find one index because the variation is more. So we need to have an index, what I defined as groundwater quality index. So groundwater quality index is a subjective index which will be obtained by ranging the water quality parameter as per their values in the range of 0.1 to 3, and then summing it up to get the quality index. Afterwards, these quality index are input in your GIS software, whichever software, and we use the interpolation. There are a number of interpolation techniques. We use any one of them. Normally, it has been observed that Kriging interpolation gives a good output, reliable output. And that is what we have done. And a potential variation of groundwater quality through CGQI map variation has been observed. Next, please. So this is the composite groundwater quality index of the area. You will see how the spatial variation of the water quality parameters help for our geo-environmental conditions. Next. So the environmental sustainability has it has a bearing on the variation of topographic and hydrological issues, and they also have impact on making green construction feasible. Apart from choosing sites for various construction measures, we are not entered into that construction measure. We are just converged onto some sites where we can go in for construction of structural conservation measures. The land cover evaluation at level 1 details. Level 1 details means 20 to 30 per meter over this resolution you have to give level 1 details of land cover and land use. So that is what, if someone don't know that, that's fine. In this context, the land cover details of the area is helpful for site suitability analysis of built environment, including deciding the orientation, symmetry, material for sustainable buildings, and improved strategy for groundwater, leading to improved river ecosystem. Next. So here we are seeing the runoff, which we have computed using the soil conservation services model. Runoff potential map has been shown, and then the topographic variations it's a DEM, what we call, is also shown at the bottom. Next. So in this context, the improvement in geo-environment is corroborated by following construction strategies that can maximize economic and environmental performances. Sustainable geo-environment requires quality management concerns that integrates function and process involved. Different functions and process are to be utilized in the GIS software, because if we have to integrate the raster layers, we have to use the mathematical operations. If we have to integrate the vector, we have to use the logical operation. Number of processes are involved in this. And following that, we are going to converge onto the sites which are suitable for conservation measures. Next, please. So here the output of spatial analysis, integrated spatial analysis, gives the different outcomes. So this yellowish is a probable sites of conservation. We have to construct the conservation measures at these places where they are closer to the stream, so that your water availability is assured, and also different criteria as specified by National Institute of Hydrology is available for selection of sites for conservation measures, and those have been followed to converge onto those sites. Finally, the summary is the issue of water quality in the region due to different factors have been dealt in a spatial perspective by creating composite index on water quality to identify possible source of pollution, interference from people in terms of growing, urbanization, behavioral practices, and industrialization. Better implementation and proper orientation of people about the concept on sustainable development can enable achievement in low energy development of dwelling units and improved conservation practices. So this is what we have come up to this level, and have a summary on that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, an excellent effort for monitoring the quality of water from space, you see. It's a wonderful approach, very nicely demonstrated. Any questions, please? Yeah, please.
Yeah, please, sir.
Any study,
Thank you. Thank you.
any study made on the variation of groundwater quality between dug wells and bore wells where deep fractures are encountered under different soil characteristics as well rock formations?
Sir, here what has happened is we are using the availability of water as a quality, not as a quantity. So water quality variation is what has been observed here. And that can be attributed to different issues.
Any other question, please? Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you which kind of indexes you have followed. What were the variables you had?
See, all those.
I couldn't see that slide. So
Yeah. That water quality physical parameters as well as chemical parameters of water quality. Those are included in those, in the making of the index, weighted as per the value of the water quality parameter. Weights are assigned to that, and then they have summed up. So that will give you, because what happens is, just like we have air quality index, number of parameters are there. So we as a, to analyze, we should have one parameter as an integrated approach. So in the same way, groundwater quality also, since there are number of parameters associated, we can clearly disseminate one of them by integration. Sure.
When you go for that drastic indexes technology.
What's that? Pardon?
Drastic.
Which, sir?
DRASTC, drastic index.
Yeah.
That also you can go.
Yeah, yeah, that we can go, sir. Yes, yes. This is one approach.
Okay, if there are no further questions, thank you, Dr. Rao, very much. And we will move to next paper.
Next speaker is somebody who has held together this entire program, Dr. Lingaraju L.
Namaskar, everybody. I don't know whether it is noon or anyway, mine, I am not presenting my abstract, but it is only to throw an idea. A factual incident happened when we started our Kumudvati River Rejuvenation Program at the inaugural time. And in the very basin itself, Guruji was there and he released our brochure, and beside him the local MLA was sitting. He was telling why all this difficult work. We are bringing water from Ettinavale to fill the Tippurnulli reservoir. This was a question made by MLA. Guruji smiled, and I started thinking in this direction. But our methodology, or whatever from the art of living we planned, is nature-based. Whereas that Ettinahole is more of engineering. Just I wanted to compare how these two work. But the result now, we are almost completing the project implementation. And luckily there was good rains also. We constructed some nearly 3,000 structures to harvest rainwater and recharge the groundwater. And we have planted more than 100,000 trees. The results are also observed. Impact assessment has been made by the third party. In 278 villages, there is no drinking water problem. Previously, they were buying bottled water. Now, all the water levels have come up, and people themselves reported that the dried up well which they were using, even the hand pump was not working. Now, there is yield is increased, and awareness has come. Instead of going for eucalyptus, they are replacing with the horticultural crops. And we are educating them to bring awareness on the optimal utilization. Even we are planning to go for these IoT devices. This is the status. Maybe the total spent money is not more than 20 crores. But the same, statement made at that time was bringing water from Ettinahole. Ettinahole scheme is they are lifting water from a Netravati basin and conveying it through the pipelines to different districts also, and one of that is our TG Halli reservoir. Present status, you may be knowing through the even the current things, current discussions are happening through the media also. It is yet to come. I don't know where the pipelines are being laid, they are not getting connected, and there is a crunch for money also. So what I thought, if can we do this anywhere and everywhere, the nature-based solution which is cost-effective, innovative, and eco-friendly. We are not digging too much, and we are not cutting the trees and all that. But again, there is shortcoming in our nature-based solutions also. It takes more time, and also involvement of the local people is a big task. That also could be done, but greater task. When compared to the engineering solution, bringing water from somewhere and filling the lakes, that is happening. It is a strategic thing that is doing. Instead of tanks to fill and go to the river, we are bringing water from the river and filling the tank. This is a reverse action that we are doing. But when we compare both of these, if there is any marriage between that, can we reduce the engineering solution and increase the natural processes that are happening? We are not paying. Nature has been doing it since ages. Only we are making it resilient. We are bringing it back with the local involvement of the people and also addressing at each and every micro watershed. So this is a question, and we are working on that. One of the chief engineer who was responsible in the beginning stages, and myself, I was also, when I was in the government service, I had to give some inputs for the these lift irrigation schemes. I had to give the geological profiles, etc. And that chief engineer, who is a good friend of mine, and me thought we will make a paper for this, and we are in the process. Unfortunately, could not come today. He's a chief engineer and myself responsible for the Kumudvati rejuvenation. So we are continuing this study and coming out with a viable solution, making synergizing engineering solutions with nature-based solution. If we increase the nature-based solution, we are addressing the climate issues. That's it. I wanted to convey this. Thank you.
Very nice. So, are there any questions? In fact, he has been answering all our questions, not only during the conference, but before that also. So, if there are any questions, I think he will be glad to answer. I think everybody is clear, and we can invite the next speaker.
The next speaker would be Dr. M.K. Ramesh, speaking on the policy issues. I have been seeing him speak for the past 3 decades, so that is the kind of experience he comes with.
Amidst the renowned technologists, hydrologists, those who have a hands-on experience, management experts, and those who have been dealing with water issues day in and day out, I appear to be a little, a kind of a misfit, in the sense that my language would be different, my diction would be different, because I will be speaking the language of a law academic. But let me make an effort. And the paper, which has to be encapsulated in about 4 or 5 slides as Dr. Lingaraju wanted me to, I just put it in 4 slides. In my understanding, I think which is the common understanding of every one of us, and to put it in the language which is not legal, resilience refers to the ability of anything to handle, to take on, to face, and even effectively handle or manage the adversity and retain its verve vitality and value. This is akin to the carrying capacity of any ecosystem. But in my understanding, this is broader than that, in the sense that the carrying capacity of an ecosystem is confined to the ability or the limits of an ecosystem to take on a pressure up to a particular extent while retaining its integrity. The resilience that we refer to here is far more broader. It expands on this capacity to withstand and carry on regardless of all those pinpricks that it may encounter, as to include the ability to perform its functions in the same manner and even better than it was doing earlier. This is my understanding of resilience. And resilience of a riverine ecosystem, the issue on hand, is an exercise in identifying the pressure points and the available tools, both in technology and also in the traditional systems, in dealing with these pressure points, and to ensure that the river would continue to perform its functions unabated. This is my limited understanding as a law academic. In this context, how policy and law can come in and be able to tie all these efforts to provide that base, the space and the scope for the river to express itself in its resplendent glory, and that's my quest. Can I? I have a lot of difficulty when I get into the policy area. And the problems are very many. And the first and the foremost, yeah. The first and the foremost that you must have noticed, amidst all the talk about a river or water body or anything like that, water has many masters. And it is subordinate to each of these, answerable to each one of them in some form or the other in law and policy. And it lacks an exclusive legal status for itself. Its entire personality, legal personality, is dependent upon the legal personality ascribed to other ecosystems like the land, the river, the forest, the wildlife, and whatever legal status that are ascribed to them, a bit of it would rub into the water on which each of these are dependent upon. It's an irony. And that's the legal ordering that we have with regard to water. The irony, both in policy and law, has been in dealing with water not in a comprehensive way, as to include every conceivable attribute of water its functions, its quality, its value, its significance, etc. But deal it in a compartmentalized way, in silos. And so is the administration. And just one simple example is, go to any state, including Karnataka, you have not less than 25 or 30 departments dealing with different aspects of water. And each one does not really work harmoniously with the other. And that's the real issue and the problem when you look to the policy and the law and it's working. As I did mention, that the entire identity of water depends upon the nature and quality of the neighboring ecosystem of a particular kind of a land, the water. We don't use the expression like water having a legal identity, even in some of those special laws that are made even at the international level. We refer to wetlands, for example. And water gets some kind of an attributes of a particular legal entitlement on account of it being a wetland and not water on its own. There was a little bit of an effort that was made fairly recently by some of the courts of law. Uttarakhand is one example, which is inspired from what has happened in New Zealand, wherein they wanted to give an independent identity legally to a riverine system. But in India, we have fallen short of really realizing that, for the simple reason that the highest court of law did not pay the kind of attention that is required for this kind of a claim, because when you give a legal identity to an entity, there are rights, duties and obligations. And unfortunately, in the legal jurisprudence that we have on the subject, they have only gotten into what we call as a Hofeldian analysis of right and duty as to make a personality. There can be a person who can be entitled for rights, protection, security, without being imposed with obligations. And there are plenty of legal instances where you find such entities being available, and water is one such candidate which could have been considered but not been done as yet. So given this kind of a scenario, how would you go about the task of tying up, as I did mention at the very outset of my presentation? And for that, I just have, come up with a twofold exercise in my paper. One is to examine in the extant policy and law, and we have host of policies at the national level, at the state level, and there are some very good model examples of a policy pronouncement that's made by some of the states, to look into that space that's available for providing that kind of a support, that kind of a catalytic force, which would actually enable the riverine system to have that kind of resilience as you are looking for in this scheme of things. And secondly, to put together, and this is the second part, a comprehensive exercise. Of course, I will not be dealing with water in its entirety, and since the focus is essentially on the riverine ecosystem, and so confined to the riverine ecosystem to the extent possible, I just would like to put together a set of principles, strategies and plans of action in a policy and a legal formulation, hoping and expecting that the powers that be would be able to use it as a kind of a template in evolving a very specific policy and a legal frame to cover every dimension of water and its actualization of its functions. I had to move forward. Yeah. Here it would be very relevant to look into the experiences from elsewhere and then see how much of that we can accommodate, absorb, and make it part of our system as well. And then, much more than looking into the other systems, to draw inspirations from the grassroots. The time-tested, time-honored traditions, customs, and practices of communities of people, which have been able to demonstrate to us as to how water bodies and the water ecosystems would be managed better than what we have in the mainstream. And finally, to consolidate and articulate a set of something where you don't have a compromise, a non-negotiable set of binding principles to guide and steer the policy and law on the subject. A broad outline of a template to help the policymaker and the lawmaker to use it for reforming the system and also apply them in any given situation as to ensure that the riverine ecosystem will have that support to demonstrate its resilience as is required. I think I'm done. This is what I intend doing. So any questions you have, you're most welcome to ask.
Yes, it was a wonderful presentation, and everything depends upon policymakers. And whatever data is there, it should be put as a policy. So it was a good paper. Any questions?
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. As always, I mean, I was your student way back in Bangalore University and C-I.C.T. Sir, we all have a question that during tea break also we discussed about some of our experts, that who is the owner of the river legally? Because whenever we discuss with irrigation department, or in general, I give a small example that water belongs to irrigation department or urban water supply. Then sand belongs to mines and geology, but revenue belongs to revenue department. Land belongs to revenue department. The forest or a tree belongs to forest department. Fishes belongs to fisheries. But pollution, when fish kill happen, the responsibility is pollution control board. Then crocodile belongs to ecology environment department. Overall, who is owner? Thank you.
I don't think you have posed a question. I do really feel that you have put together the kind of confusion that exists in the whole system. There are many problems which is inherent as a kind of a manufacturing defect in the way in which you think about the legal system and work it. In addition to that, there are so many other factors which have contributed to this confusion. There's a lot of politics in it. There is a problem with regard to the center-state relations. And you have many laws in relation to water which owe their origin to the central government, and many, and most of them, at the state level. And many times, how do you really relate these two as to really get a complete picture in an integrated way is a real challenge. And the paper I'm working on has certainly considered all that, for the simple reason that on a number of occasions, including an effort that was started in the state government itself, in coming up with a comprehensive water policy, I was part of that. And you know what it came up with? It came up with a kind of a bucket list coming from different departments, and they were all compiled together. And the ones who actually organized this, they did not have the ability to really connect all of them together into a comprehensive 2 or 3 page policy document, and he ended up with some 150-page odd document. So the policy in a comprehensive way remains a pipe dream. At the same time, I think sometime in 2003 or 2004, there was an effort that was made at the state level. I think H.K. Patil was the minister. He asked me whether I could develop a comprehensive law and policy for a small riverine system near his place. Some Benny Tore, Benny. And I was able to put together a few ideas and give it to him. And he was so enthused, and he said that he will put it in the state water policy document itself. As luck would have it, governments changed, and I think it's in the back burner now. The enthusiasm and the optimism that I have for something of this kind can happen comes from an experience I think I had sometime in 2002, when the waterman, as was mentioned in the earlier session, Rajendra Singh, was charged with violating the irrigation laws of Rajasthan state. And a committee was constituted to go into the allegations and then find whether whatever that has been started by Rajendra Singh, the Johad experiment and all that, as you know, does that pass muster in law or not? And if I remember correctly, the committee comprised of Agarwal, Anil Agarwal, the C.I.C.T, he was still alive at that time, and Mohan Gopal, who later became our Vice Chancellor, and a few other people who are experts in that field. And to the court, they made a submission that whatever that has been attempted is very compatible, and perhaps the policy and law need to absorb and accommodate all that. And so while the irrigation department was looking into the black and white letter of the law, the spirit of it was actually fleshed out and brought to light through the practice of communities of people, given sufficient amplification and application by efforts of Rajendra Singh. So there is a scope. There is some space available in the law, but it's quite hidden. You need to eliminate that. And so that will be part of my first effort. The second effort would be then from that, based upon the kind of suggestions that come from each one of you, and I depend on each one of you because as a law academic, I just don't know the science or the art of water, which you are masters of. If you are able to say that these are the must-do things and that should find place in policy and law, and I will get it an exploratory exercise and see whether that's possible, whether it could be accommodated or not, whether it could be anchored to a directive principle of state policy or a constitutional principle, or it is something to do with a judicial opinion which has become a precedent, and see whether it can really pass muster through any kind of illegal scrutiny. So that's the kind of effort that I'm engaged in. It's a very tough task, but Dr. Lingaraju is someone who is at my back and insisting that I should do something of that kind. So I'm making a very humble effort in that regard. I may fail, but I will make an effort.
Very good, very well explained.
Sir, I just had a small follow-up to that. I think you answered most of my questions. I just want to know how we can keep in touch regarding this. How can we keep in touch regarding your effort of...
Yes. I think there is this WhatsApp group. Through that also you can come up with host of suggestions. I look up for that, because the other inspiration I have is a publication from C.I.C.T, as you know, The Dying Wisdom, and the one that has come alive. So 2 volumes give me ample evidence as to how well these could get accommodated in policy and law. But if you can share your experiences and then say that this is something that is capable of being put into application, well, that would provide me the ammunition and the evidence to put together in a kind of a legal formulation. Thanks. Sir.
this problem. You want to do some development, rejuvenation efforts and all.
I think I need to get into 1 hour of discussion with you on that, because river changing course has both domestic and international implications, and we have case law on that. At the international level, they have actually led to border disputes between nations, and there are certain kinds of prescriptive rights, certain kinds of servitude rights, and there are certain kinds of riparian rights. And some of these rights go along with the land, and whether you have water or not, they will continue to operate. So we needed to consider that. So if you can very specifically say that these are the things that have happened, perhaps I would be able to give you an answer to that. Yeah, whatever. Even with regard to the domestic river, what is the nature of the landscape? Is it public property or is it in private property? Is it something which is a common property? Something like that. If you could put together that, maybe I would be able to answer that.
Sir, is there any policy or act or law to find the local government or state government?
I'm sorry.
Because I have heard only about
I'm sorry, I'm not able to. Yeah, please.
I have heard till now only about the fining individuals and the industries for polluting or so on. But I have not heard about the policy or act or law fining or filing a case against the local governance or the state governance. Is there anything like that?
Yeah. I think under the Madhya Pradesh Panchayat Raj law, in terms of providing the space for the local community and certain kinds of powers with regard to the local resources, including water bodies, there has been some provision that has been made. I can go even a step ahead as to say that in United States, immediately it comes to my mind, there is a law like we have our Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, they have a Clean Water Act. And under that law, there is a provision that has been made which actually empowers a representative of the local community to have the same kind of powers as an administrator and even judicial powers of adjudication. They are called as river keepers. We don't have such a kind of a position in India, but can we really think on those lines? If we can have somebody who has that kind of an experience, somebody like Dr. Lingaraju, to have that kind of a status, either in office or out of office, to be able to exercise that kind of an authority, drawing from his vast experience, well, that's something that we need to really encourage.
I just only want to make an observation. I think in India we are supposed to have extraordinarily brilliant luminaries on law. And I think probably the Rama Janmabhoomi case was once an example wherein people, the legal luminary, I think what was his name, I forget, he intervened and fought for it. So I think it is a nice occasion, or it should be a good start to really confront from the legal luminary side the government. After all, it is a nation.
The inspiration comes from here.
Yeah. So please, I think
we can work on it together.
Yeah. The KL Raw's Institute of Law is here located at Bangalore.
The chair and the co-chair wants us to conclude.
Please.
We can carry on our dialogue through emails and also the web page.
Yeah.
I will be very happy to interact with you on that, sir.
Yeah. Last question. Yeah.
Sir.
Nearly 27% of the total rainfall is getting wasted.
Right.
How nice, and how is there any law or act or rule where it prevents dragging water from some other source? This is a very important factor for me, particularly when I have studied so much over Bangalore water resource management challenges and remedies. And just a law if it can speak something that it should not be dragged from somewhere else when the local resource is not properly utilized. This,
Yes, sir. Like you, I'm being an academic, I am a dreamer. And I'm hopelessly optimistic about things. But only thing is, how do you really make it possible through legal articulation and policy formulation? I'm constantly being engaged in that. We will definitely work on that together.
Okay, thank you very much. A lot of good discussion. And I think it's very important. We should have policies, but it is a very, very difficult, you see, that policies can be made about groundwater, surface water, because it is a state property after a certain feet, and a lot of problems are there, and we have not understood groundwater so well that we can make law, act, and policy for that. So we invite the next speaker now.
We invite Dr. Anshuman Mishra to come on first.
Good afternoon, everybody. My presentation will be on snow melt pattern and availability of water for horticulture crop and higher Himalayan regions. We have discussed a lot about the peninsular India. Right now, I just wanted to take a little bit of your time and focus towards the Himalayan part. So mapping snow cover is best done by remote sensing data because it gives us a very vast view, what is the extent of the snow cover. So this is basically MODIS data that covers nearly an entire Himalaya, and this is of 2nd February 2016. This is how much blue color is showing the snow covered area. The same year in 12th August, the MODIS data shows that the snow cover has reduced drastically. This happens every day, every year, and it has happening for decades together. So based on that, I went for a study that I selected two glacier parts that are Chorabari and Dokrani glaciers. They are basically big, a moderate size glaciers in Uttarakhand area. And I preferred to go for the data sets that is of Landsat because it has got 30-meter resolution. And because of which I could understand what is the extent of snow cover in that particular basin. And in this, we could identify why I was focusing on the glacier part, because how much is the extent of the snow cover and what is the outcome of it in form of water, and what is the contribution of glacier in that particular water. That was very important to understand. So I took these two areas, that is Chorabari and Dokrani, and did a basic snow facies identification, because the state of water in frozen form is basically, one is in the form of snow, and the last form, that is after metamorphism, is ice. So in between there is fern and granular snow is also present, in which initially when snow starts to fall, it is in dry form. After a little bit of content of water that is getting present in it, it becomes a wet snow. So with the help of remote sensing data, we can easily identify the wet and dry snow in glaciated areas. This is of Gangotri glacier, that we can see, and easily we can define that this is the dry surface and this is the wet surface. With the help of that, we went for a detailed understanding so that we can identify the extent of snow cover, because this is very important to identify how the water will be available during the year in downstream areas, so that it can be used for horticulture and other purposes specialized in dams and all that. So if we start mapping with an NDSI reflectance models, that is basically normalized difference snow index models or something like that, we will be referring more towards the reflective parts rather than the DN parts, so that we can identify the facies, how it is contributing towards it. And what I did was, I went for a detailed study on a Arva glacier, so that we can identify how the majority of the Himalayan glaciers are debris covered, so we can't identify that how the variability is happening on dry, wet and ice on a glacier. So Arva glacier was selected so that we can identify where is the dry snow, where is the wet snow, and here we can easily determine how it is wet and dry in these particular areas. These are the graphs that are showing in this area. So for a detailed map, a detailed study in that particular area, what I did was I went for nearly 350 images I scanned, and from which I could identify 123 good images that can give a very detailed understanding of snow cover in Chorabari and Dokrani glaciers. And for a catchment boundary understanding, I got an image from a resource SAT2 image that is of 5.8 meter resolution. So initially I was able to determine how the glacier is there, what is the catchment of it, and how much snow is present in that particular area. With the help of DM, that is Aster DM, I made a basic understanding, that is I involved aspects in it, like elevation, aspect and slope, so that I can identify how the snow is behaving with the respect of altitude, aspect as well as slope in that particular area, and how it is melting. This is the methodology that I used in the study, where I also used the meteorological data that was present there with the help of AWS, that is automatic weather station that were present in that area. And I was able to use the three major components that are needed. That is, first is temperature, other is RH value, and the solar radiation, that is relative humidity and solar radiation that is falling in that particular area. Now, after this, detailed map were generated of each year of 2009 to 2016, and further it is being continued, so that we can understand the behavior of snow, how the snow is behaving in that particular area. This is the Dokrani Glacier catchment area, and this is the Chorabari Glacier catchment area throughout the year of 2010. And when I was able to map it throughout the year, then we can see throughout the years of the study period, we can see how the snow is fluctuating throughout the study duration. With the help of elevation, aspect and slope, I was able to determine how the snow is behaving with respect to elevation, because everyone says that elevation is one of the major criterias. We can say that, but aspect and slope also play an equivalent role in how the melting of the glacier is happening. So in Chorabari and Dokrani glacier areas, this were the study that was coming out. Here we can easily see that any elevation above 5,500, that is 5,500, the melting of snow is very reduced, whereas anything that is below 5,500 is having some kind of depletion. And during the study period, the major change in snow cover is observed below 4,500 meters. With respect to aspect, that is the slope that is facing towards any direction, we can say that the major changes in the slope is towards the south, because anything that is pointing towards south, then southwest, southeast, show the major change in snow cover as compared to the northern ones. This is the study of slope also. Slope, the major changes in slope is observed between after 10, that is starting from 10 to 60 degrees, whereas the least changes has been observed between 0 to 10 degrees slope. And with the help of automatic weather stations, I was able to isotherms that represent how 0 degree is behaving throughout the year in the study duration. Here we can see that in 0 degree we can see that the elevation is around 2903, whereas in summer months this reaches to 5559 elevation in Dokrani, whereas same thing happens nearly in Mandakini catchment also. With the help of snow cover extent and isotherms that were generated on the basis of that particular day, we could find out that the behavior of snow is very important in case of isotherms, where we can see that as the isotherm starts to move, the snow starts to melt. But as the starting winter happens, the isotherm starts to come down, but it does not mean that snow also starts to come at that particular elevation. Snow is basically dependent on the westerly disturbances or the snow events that are happening during that time. And few more interesting things that came out with that study is that we believe that in winter there is no snow melt. That is not true, because the aspects that are facing towards south and western part, they always melt and they are contributing towards the stream in that particular region. And with the help of relationship between snow cover and its relative humidity, we could find the variability that it has a inverse relationship, and whereas the relationship between the incoming and outgoing solar radiation has the similar outcome out of it. And with the help of this melt that is happening in that particular area, that is, let it be in Uttarakhand area or Himachal area, we are using that particular water that is coming especially in June, July, August for horticultural purposes, especially for pea growing. This is a case study in Chhatru base camp, that is in Himachal Pradesh. This is Chandra river that is flowing in this area. Here this is a very large area of nearly 5 to 7 square kilometer area. This is area that is growing lot of pea, and there are especially it is delivering the pea in August months in a very high rate. So we can do lot of horticulture during that period where the Indo-Gangetic plains in peninsular India don't have that kind of water supply. But in this region, water supply is there, and it is definitely contributing a lot towards the horticulture and other practices. Pasture. Yeah. Here, this is a typical village that is present in Uttarakhand region, where we can see that this area, they develop a small hut-like structures, and they keep lot of cattle with them for and use these areas as pastures very nicely. Especially this is used in Uttarakhand area, whereas in the northern part of Himachal Pradesh, this is not used quite often because that area is quite devoid of vegetation. Whereas the entire Uttarakhand, especially starting from the western part, that is Gangotri, towards the nearly to the Nepal border, we are seeing a lot of pasture activities that are happening. They are taking their cattle there and creating all these large areas of pastures. So this is finding. This is a small area that is present in Dokrani Glacier. Here a lot of vegetation is there, and here the tree line ends. After the tree line, we are able to identify a lot more area that is used by the cattle and all that. So, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
Snowpack density.
No, sir. Presently, we didn't in this particular study, but in future, definitely we are thinking of using SAR data in that identification.
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Thanks for the good presentation. do you use any standard snow melt runoff models other than what you have done? That is one question. Other question is, when you are talking about snow melt and referring that with respect to the elevation changes, I can understand that as one parameter, but that could not be the only parameter. Possibly you should be looking at other parameters also in addition to the height parameter. Aspect is understandable, but slope, how does slope alone have impact on the melt? There should be other weather parameters also into consideration.
Yes,
what
sir.
do you say?
For the first question, we are generating right now the data set because initially a lot of studies were done on basis of the Moody's data and all that. So they are covering very large area and they give a very broad aspect that how the melt is happening. But for small glaciers and small power stations or areas that they are diverting for their field, this is not very feasible. The second question is, so we will be using the models definitely. For the second question, yes, slope does play not a major role, but aspect and elevations are the ones that are playing the major roles. The slope only thing is that from 0 to 10, the melting is very less throughout the catchment of, especially in Uttarakhand, whereas any other slope we can see above 10 is showing a fast depletion. No, not only slope. Yes, yes, definitely. Definitely we are adding.
How you are planning validation?
Sir, this is a field-based study and whatever is happening, we are collecting the data, what is the discharge and all that in the field only. Yeah. Though the response is slightly different because the response that we are seeing is of 3 days. So if we are getting an image that is of 10th July, so we will have to take 3 days before 10th July and that so that we are able to identify what is the change that is happening. Yes, we will be adding it in future studies. Yeah.
You can refer to some publications on
Sure. Definitely.
Okay. Nice. Thank you, Anshuman. And I think there are no other papers now. There are no other speakers now. Okay. So it was good session, and the ball was set rolling by Dr. Divakar by presenting so much of details about the remote sensing data, because that also one should know what remote sensing data is available and what are the pitfalls and what are the advantages. So that was very nicely presented. And then the two speakers on this side, policy was very much appreciated because we should have policies, and without policy we can be in a lot of trouble. And I just one example I would like to cite here, that arsenic poisoning was because of the lack of policy. There was no policy at all, and people have come just to help somebody, and in helping that they have put very deep boreholes in Bangladesh, and in putting that they have brought arsenic, trivalent arsenic, which was buried in the sediments, to the surface. And once it was exposed to oxygen, it became pentavalent. And pentavalent arsenic is highly toxic and carcinogenic. And we contaminated the surface water, we contaminated because of percolation. So the entire region became so contaminated because there was no policy. Policy is very important. We should not allow anything to be done without proper study. And not only study, proper monitoring, because monitoring, 1 or 2 days monitoring in such geological environment will not help. You need 15-20 days, because the arsenic poisoning was understood and became evident after 15-20 years. So that sort of policy of monitoring should be there. So I appreciate the policy. And Anshuman presented snow melt. That was good. I must emphasize that because all the Himalayan rivers, they get water. Huge population of northern India is dependent upon how much melt water will be available. And if, as Dr. Divakar suggested, if I can master this technique and tell that this much of water is available during the summer months by melting of the snow, we will be able to plan better. Because what happens if we lack snowfall, we will lack the snow melt water also. So here a good conjunction between remote sensing and availability of water can be done for the northern Indian plains, which are holding on to such big number of population. So this session was very good. I enjoyed, and I hope everybody would have enjoyed listening to it. And now is the time for the organizers to, yeah, here he is.
Yeah, I only have. I wanted to say a few very practical things for the project. Dr. Divakar's presentation was very appropriate simply because he has shown us a way in which lot of data sources can be integrated. Today, there is plenty of data and information available from diverse sources. He just showed us a tool, at least the geospatial data can be integrated. Now he talks of integrating it with this socio-economic data as well. Certainly for this, under this symposium topic, if we have to do any projects, we will all go to Dr. Divakar. Okay? So we will come to you, sir. Thank you. The next was Dr. Kumar. We really appreciate him collecting evidence on the ground. You see, these are not conceptual issues, and his experience on ground would be valuable because groundwater would also look at quality. So his experience in the field will be invaluable for us. Again, Dr. Ramesh, bringing his vast experience, pointed out how there is a vacuum in policy and law, both for water. And often that is the basis for a lot of contentious issues. And whenever we need to look at resilient riverine systems, we will need the support of the policy base because it is a transboundary issue. It moves across property regimes. And that again, we will come to Dr. Ramesh. Who better than him to go to? Dr. Anshuman, he talked about something so vital, most of us don't even understand what he spoke about. Glaciers is something very few of us understand. So it was wonderful to listen to a new domain for us at least, and we will definitely come to you whenever we have such.
Thank you very much, sir. And in fact, Anshuman is son of Dr. K.S. Mishra, and well, who can be a better teacher than his father? So he has been trained so well. Thank you so much, Anshuman. Well, this wonderful session, we got an opportunity to hear their experiences and work. Thank you so much for all the authors. And I thank the chairman, Sir Dr. K.S. Mishra ji, and as well as co-chair Dr. Sheshgiri Rao. Now it's time to honor them. I request Jeremy, basically from South Africa, from Cape Town, is a geologist himself. So to give a token of memento to Dr. K.S. Mishra ji. Well, thank you so much. Also to Sheshgiri Rao ji. Thank you so much. Well, now we missed meditation yesterday, And today we will have a short meditation before we break for lunch. It's about 10 minutes. I request Dr. Kaveri to coordinate with Sunny to organize this meditation in Guruji's voice.
You can be here. You can be here. You can sit here. No, you can sit here. No problem.
So, before we start the meditation, well, I also welcome Dr. Jyoti Kumar, who has joined from Central Groundwater Board, and also Jai Prakash ji. So, yes, thank you.
Let us sit comfortably, easily. First, let us shake our hands. Shake our hands, and then let's keep our hands on our lap, or however you feel comfortable. And let's close our eyes. Let's keep our spine erect and body relaxed. We came into this planet weighing just 4 kilos or 5 kilos. Recollect or remember the weight of your body. It is 60 kilos, 70 kilos, whatever that is. Place your weight on the chair or on the floor you are sitting right at this point. Let's take a deep breath in, hold the breath and let go. Honor your own body. Your body is the precious gift to you from nature. Become aware of your whole body. Skins, tissues, muscles, blood vessels, bones, and all the internal organs. Your body is a precious gift to you. Now let us come to the second dimension, your breath. It is our breath that is keeping our body alive. Your body is alive because of your breath. Take a deep breath in and let go. Incoming breath energizes the body and outgoing breath brings relaxation. This is happening all the time. Let us honor our own breath. Become aware of the air all around you. Like fish in the water, we are in air. Relax more and more. Let's take our attention to the top of the head. And become aware of the empty space above our head. Become aware of the space in the entire room that you are sitting. Become aware of a point right in the center of your heart, center of your chest. And take a deep Shanti. धीरे धीरे शरीर और परिसर के प्रति सजग हो जाएं। एक और गहरी सांस लीजिए। As you breathe out, you may open your eyes. So let us sit comfortably.
We'll now break for lunch. The vehicles have been arranged from the information center. I request volunteers of Art of Living to lead our guests towards the information center, from where they will be taken to the moving towards the kitchen, first floor, Annapurna.